that this is going to record off of the speakerphone. I've actually got a camcorder going here, and basically what I'm doing is taping myself talking to you, and then I'm going to dub in.
Oh, it's too red.
Is what?
Too red.
What's too red?
The color on the camcorder.
No, that's me. I got a bit of a sunburn today. Wow, you could see that all the way from Van Nuys and through the telephone.
Maybe it's my bloodshot eyes. I don't know.
Maybe that's what it is. That could be it.
Did I tell you about winning the award?
No, that was one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame award, the Eisners. That's the top of the pyramid. That is.
Well, I suspected somebody told me. I don't know if it was you or somebody told me that I was up for the award. And then when they called and said everything is on the house, you know, they give me a food allowance, and they had somebody standing by with. I had his cell number, and I could get instant help. If I wanted to pee, you know, they'd come watch the table, or they brought me from the hotel. They pushed my my stuff, and in the morning to get to the con, and then back in the evening, and they, get me water bottles every day, and it was quite, much better that way because it took a lot of the exhaustive work, aside from pushing myself around, out of it, and made it very pleasant. But so anyway, they had the big dinner. I think it was Saturday night, and they have dinner first, and a smorgasbord or whatever you call it, and you go around to pick what you want.
Right.
And that's at 7:00, and so you're sitting there at these tables, and eventually the program starts. And they have all the recipients, and there's a million of them, and they all think they're won the Oscar or something. They're with these big acceptance speeches, and it's just...
Oh, Russ, be careful here. I don't want you to get in trouble now. This is going to be broadcast.
Oh.
You think carefully before you identify anybody by name.
Get up and talk and tell stories, and
right.
Drags on and drags on and drags on. So everybody's by 11:30, would you believe?
11:30.
11:30, we're still sitting there, and I wasn't keeping track. I thought the awards were all given out and it was over. So, and then everybody starts shoving me and says, "Get up, it's you. They called your name." And I go up there, what? Up on a stage and then up to the dais, and I said, "I'm just glad I'm still alive to receive it," and turned and walked off. I got a standing ovation. Sergio hugged me, and what's the horror guy?
Bernie Wrightson?
Yeah, Bernie gave me a hug, and everybody's patting me on the back and roar, the noise was horrendous, and I was serious. I didn't know it was funny.
You never do. You have the best lines in the world, and until everybody starts laughing, you have no idea.
Yeah, well, I think what it was, they associated that I'm still alive as to how long the program would take. I meant it in all seriousness.
In a general sense.
In other words, I was kind of knocking the posthumous, the ones that get it posthumously. I was going to say I'm not good at posthumous, but that if there was some woman, some widow from last year in the audience, that wouldn't go over too cool.
No,
It worked perfectly. For the next 2 days, people going by my table I'd never seen before, and they said, "Great acceptance speech."
That's good. That's good. How did you do with the show? Did you? I know you're still trying to get your commissions done from Detroit, and that was.
Well, I did quite well. I was telling people I know I'm doing well when I fall off my wallet. metal, what's his name?
Kevin Eastman.
Yes, and I saw him having breakfast to go out and get in the car and come home. And, the Sunday morning, Monday morning. So I got to see him after all, and he promised that we'd get together and that he would put a couple pictures of Lynn into the heavy metal.
Good.
And I don't know if you should put that down in case he doesn't.
Oh, well, we can hold it over his head now and make him do it.
Yeah. That was the truth. So anyway, and then Steve Wyatt grabbed me and says, "Don't leave." He says, "I got money for you." And he thrust some bills in my hand. I stuffed them in my pocket, and it turned out to be $3,000.
Woo!
That helped. That made the month.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that'll pay a few back bills.
Yeah. I'm paying some. As you called, I was sitting here making bills out. But anyway, then I got a guy that came up to me in Detroit and said, "Do you remember me?" And I said, "Not really." And I said, "You look familiar," but he says, "We had dinner in Paris." And I said, "Oh, right," and with my daughter and son-in-law and my buddy and his wife and you and your girlfriend. And he says, "Yeah, now you got it." So he asked if I would be interested in going to any comic cons in Europe. And he says, "There's one in Barcelona and one in Madrid and one in Germany and another one in Paris." And I said, "Certainly, it'll be the first one there." And so he says, "I'll check it out." And of course, for every 10 people that tell you they'll check it out, you're very lucky if one does.
Yeah.
So when I'm at the down here in San Diego, he shows up again. I says, "You look familiar."
Stringing them along.
So anyway, he says, "You'll be getting a letter shortly from your going in October." And I didn't even get where, but I figured it'd all be in the letter. As I was getting ready to go, I got a phone call with some lady with a heavy accent, and I said, "Sure, just send me a letter," because I knew I wouldn't get any information with that accent.
Right.
So I think the two of them are from this talking about the same thing. So that everything went off cool. Of course, I got lost on the way back again.
Did you?
This time I got off the 5 onto the 405, which is where all the trouble has always been. They label it on the left and on the right, and so don't stay in the center. Well, the left is this 2 people in a car lane,
Right.
and so then you go swerving across traffic to the right and get off. And I don't know. I was reading 405 a couple times, and then it said 605, and I said, "Am I going blind? How did it get to be 605?" So I stopped in the middle of nowhere, not knowing within 100 miles of where I was, and they told me how to get back to the 5, and it wasn't as good as had I stayed on the 405, but it wasn't that bad. Because the 5 can be murder if you take it all the way across, because it goes right through all the shipping towns and trucking towns and
Right.
stuff. And
Well, that's a long drive to begin with, Van Nuys to San Diego, isn't it?
I'm going to insist that if they want me to show up, they send me somebody who's made the train trip before. And I figure if I make it once with somebody that knows how to do it, then I won't mess that up.
Right.
So we shall see what we shall see.
So how often do you go to San Diego, or was?
Well, I used to go all the time, or pretty much, although the records don't really. There always seems to be somebody that was there the year before you were, or something.
Right.
Ruins your whole record. But I was there in the first few years. I went, I think, 3 times in a row. When it was on top of the old building down there, I forget what the name of it is.
The El Grotesque, the El Cortez.
And then I went about 5, 6, 7, 8 more times till they finally gave me the Ink Pot Award. And when
Boy, it took them a while to get the hint.
Yeah, they said, of course, Russ has got an Inkpot award, and they said, no, he never gave me one. So they gave me one, and that was a number of years ago now. I think it was 98, or I'm not sure.
Holy smokes, I got one in 81. I beat you by 17 years.
Who on you?
So, how's the...
It was exhausting because those trips always are, for one of the biggest reasons is that your senses are bombarded with information every 6 seconds, and you're talking to more people and talk. The whole thing is like a continuous speech. And I went down there Wednesday, and had the full thing and didn't come home till Monday.
Right.
So it's your senses are all blown out. Like the batteries are given out because you're overloaded sensory, and but that was to be expected.
Did you just crash and go to sleep for a couple of days when you got back?
No, it's kind of an exhaustion that sleep doesn't. I sleep very well when I go on these things, but maybe it's the better beds or something.
That's got something to do with it, and the fact that somebody else is going to clean it up and change the sheets and all that stuff.
Yeah, when I go in the door, I put in do not disturb, and I take it down when I leave.
Right.
They don't get in there at all.
Yeah, I've gotten that way too. I'd rather have
I've got messages because my light's flashing, and it always turns out to be the maid service thing. They want credit for not barging in.
Right.
So anywho.
So how many commissions do you figure you got in San Diego that you've got to get to?
Well, I sold a lot of stuff that I had with me. This time I tried to get 4 copies of everything with me, so I didn't have to write everything down, to take care of later.
Right.
So one guy, somebody talked to you that called me.
Right.
Can't remember which guy, but anyway, he was talking about it. Apparently, he lives not far away from you and saw some of the stuff that you have of mine.
Oh, okay. That might have been Yoram.
Who?
Yoram.
Right. That's who it was.
Okay.
I'm working on the third of his 3 pictures right now.
That's Yoram. Yeah, he's got quite the art collection. So, did you sell any of the Glamour Puss prints that I sent you?
I was so. First of all, they kept screwing me over on the table. They said Jerry Robinson's supposed to sit on half of that table. I says I didn't know. I thought we got a table apiece.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm 83 years old. What do you want?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I had to keep moving, and there was somebody. You took somebody's chair. No, I didn't. I was here when I got here. And so and this happened 2 days. And he comes down for 2 hours, and then he's gone, and then other people are there, and somebody decides to eat lunch there, and I thought they've got these open, tall cans of, sodas,
Right.
ice cream sodas or whatever. And I thought, if that goes over, it's going to go all the way down across 2 or 3 tables,
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to report them when they left. And but it's just, you're trying to do 6 things at once.
Yeah. So you never even got the Glamour Puss prints out on the table?
Yes, I did. And
Oh.
I think one was, somebody got one, but that's hardly much of a sale.
Oh, well.
I had to push. I kept covering my own stuff up because somebody's kids would start looking, and I thought, I don't want to be arrested here.
With pictures of Lynn or something.
Yeah, I had a bunch of those, and even though people said, oh, this doesn't go, I said, just takes one angry parent to go out and have me arrested.
Yeah.
And I'll get out, but it'll take 2 or 3 days. endless amount of trouble, so I'm trying to watch that, and I'm trying, some kids think that anything on the table's for free, and you might have a couple of originals there that you want 1,500 for.
Yeah,
yeah, like that. So it's quite an endeavor at my age.
Yeah, I got to tell you, just starting with the driving from Van Nuys down to San Diego before the whole thing gets started.
Yeah, well, of course, it was much worse going up to San Francisco.
Was it?
You never can get off of that Bay Bridge. You know, they got this thing over to the right where you go down the hill to the Bay Bridge and go across the Bay Bridge. Once you're on that, you're pretty well safe. But of course, not really. If you're going to drive around, you're going to have an accident.
Yeah.
I got a cab once to keep from having an accident, and the cab had an accident.
Hey,
so anyway,
you just can't win sometimes.
You got semis on your left. Everybody's going 60. Semis on your right. A semi in front of you, and 11 inches behind you is a semi. And the semis, you can't see the signs, so you don't know where the hell the turnoff is.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know which side to keep on because I never can remember whether I'm going to get off on the left or the right. It is the right, but it really hits you in your head somewhere.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
So I did it all right this last time I went up there, but except I couldn't get to the hotel for over an hour and a half because there's no left turn anywhere. And I decided one of the streets I'm going to find out where the next left turn is, and I practically left San Francisco.
Holy smokes.
No other left. And I got it's so frustrating. I got on the other side of the building to the offload where the out part of the garage is.
Right.
And he says, "Oh, it's on the other side of the building." I says, "I can't get over there." I says, "Can you put a chain and tow me backwards into the thing?" I'm at the damn hotel. And no, we can't do anything, So finally, I saw one of these little covered scooters that the traffic police have, and with this lady, and she explains the whole thing to me, and she says, "Now, have you got it?" And I said, "No." So she explains it all again, and she said, "Have you got it?" And I said, "No." She says, "Follow me."
Well, that worked pretty good. That was what you were looking for in the first place.
I was driving around the goddamn hotel. Murder. Absolutely. I mean, after making a wonderful time on the trip,
It's an hour and a half just going around the block 20,000 times.
Yeah.
Ah, well, that's San Francisco.
And, it's not like you can dial 911 for help. There's nobody coming.
No.
You can't even get anybody to come out. With all that's going on, you can't very well phone somebody to come and save you from the inside,
No, they'll be laughing at you.
Yeah. They've laughed every year, I guess.
So how about the Lone Ranger book? Did you get around to doing your interview for that? And
I didn't fill out the questions. Some of the questions could have been quite interesting, but they said, "Forget it, we don't have time." And they were more worried about the cover, and because they wanted me to pencil the cover for $400.
Right.
And then they were going to have an inker ink it and somebody else paint it. And I said, "Did you ever see the advertising painting I did on the brochure? It's a big, page-sized thing." They sent samples of the thing around when they opened the strip. They sent samples to all the syndicates in the United States.
Right.
And and I did the cover on that, which was from edge to edge in full color. And then they had some articles about the writer and me inside of it, but they've still got that. I don't think they'll use anything in there. But so they got satisfied with. I don't know what they may mess it over with having the colors go over it or something, but it's at least it got it off my back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not my fault. The worst thing that could be is that that the cover's great and everybody buys it and they look inside of what they, if they colored all my black and white pages, you can imagine.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, they're not going to do that.
Well, they may
Well,
have very well.
you never know, yeah, yeah.
Years since I never expected them to go all the way through and put it and get apparently everything they needed to, because I wasn't sure my collection was anywhere near complete.
Yeah. I remember...
Xeroxes and all cut in half. They had to match them up physically to scan them. And that's because the animation house I was working for, their Xerox machines wouldn't take a full width daily. So rather than shrink it down, I just did two halves, and figuring if I need them for something, I can always paste them together.
It's going to be pretty good quality reproduction at that rate, though. Like the animation place you were working at would keep their photocopier in top shape, like for clarity and stuff.
Yeah. The most of this stuff could be shot from. I mean, but if they, as I said, if they're going to take airbrushes and color on something that was made for black and white, you know, on the daily on the Sundays you can leave the sky open because you're going to put dark blue in there,
right?
For nighttime, but with the moon, and if they think it's a daylight thing, you know, in the daytime you paint it black so that because you don't have a choice. So you work differently for daytime black and white stuff than you do for color. And a lot of the color stuff was really good. I got out of Arizona highways, you know, these nice scenery bits with reflection in the water and stuff like that.
Right.
None of that I don't think will reach into the book because I don't know where they'd get it from. They'd have to... I told them several of the newspapers that handled the strip and that they could, you know, they keep on file miniature, well, I forget what you call them, microscopic.
Microfilm.
Microfilm, and it's possible I could get it from there. I myself would love to have copies of the colored pages, but the samples they sent me were some kind of printing things and were nothing like they turned out in a newspaper.
Right, right. Where are the originals?
No one knows. I think the editor I was working for, he was a weirdo, and I think he kept them all.
Holy
And
smokes!
if you want me to guess, then that's not very fair. I wouldn't put that in your article.
Oh, okay, well, like I say, this is going to be broadcast, so we'll just bleep that part out.
Right.
I was interested in the last time that we talked. You were telling me about your dad. Is that where, because your dad was a cowboy? Do you think that that's where your interest in?
I think it was a heavy thing, part of my interest in it, because in those days there wasn't television. You had to think up everything they were going to play outside with the other kids. You know, aside from hitting each other with sour apples or something.
Right.
And most of the kids, one of the parents would take them to the Saturday morning serial movie. You know, and they'd have the Lone Ranger, or more in my day, they had Tom Mix or Buck Jones or Hoot Gibson.
Right.
Who incidentally is related to the Charlie Gibson on the news.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, you can't say that anymore.
So your dad, what was it?
And all the kids after would come out of the movies all hoping it up, and the first thing they do is play cowboys and Indians.
Right.
I mean, it was almost standard, and some of the tomboys as well. And so even though they thought I was a bit of a sissy, I thought my father was a sissy because he said he never killed an Indian.
What kind of a cowboy are you?
I'm known for sitting a horse quite well because, you know, we went to the pony track a lot for the kids' pony track was a couple miles from my house.
Right.
And so as a very small child, I was on a horse. And then at summer camp, of course, it was English riding, but horses again. And I just read so much about it from Charlie Russell and Will James about how you ride and sit a horse and so on. I remember when Gray Morrow, I went over to his house and he had a horse, which he rode, I guess, every week. And I got up on that and he says, well, you haven't forgotten how to sit a horse anyway.
Holy smokes, I didn't know that. Gray Morrow had a horse.
Huh?
Gray Morrow had a horse.
Yes, indeed. For quite some years, I guess.
Huh.
Yeah, I was over and we'd horse around. We'd target shoot in his basement, handguns, and go dive in his neighbor's pool and stuff like that.
Right. You were telling me about your dad that he was kind of unique in that he bought one of the early cameras.
Early what?
Early cameras. You said he had a box
Oh,
camera.
right, the old, the first, not Kotex,
Kodak.
Kodak. See what happens when you get old?
I wasn't going to say anything.
One of my friends the other day, he was giving me the thing about oldness, you know, and he says, is this what I have to look forward to? I said, you keep it up, you're not going to get any older. So anyway.
So yeah, your dad had one of the earliest Kodak box cameras.
Right.
And
years. I had it in the end for years.
And he used it quite a bit, you said.
Well, yeah. I mean, mostly when a guy works as a cowboy on a ranch, he's a hand laborer, and he's expected to go to work and, you know, not stand around taking pictures. But he took a slew, hundreds of pictures, and he used to go around to the different schools and with a what do you call it? A slide shower.
Right, slide projector.
With
Yeah.
slides, and he'd stick up a thing on the wall and give a talk on the cowboys and horses and cows and steers. And I was asking him, he says a lot of cowboys, they'd be careful because when there were guys that tied the rope onto the saddle horn, and then there were guys that just, after they loped through the thing, they then made a quick turn around the saddle horn. But he says you're more likely to lose your thumb that way because that bull on the steer on the other end is going to weigh, you know, close to 2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And your thumb isn't going to do it. So he says, and eventually that takes all the leather off the horn and it's steel underneath. And then it's really dangerous because it's so slippery.
Right.
And he says what they used to do is they would, when they castrated the steer, they took the scrotum and dipped it in water like rawhide, you know, and put it over the saddle horn, and it would shrink and dry on there, and they'd have leather again.
See, that's the kind of authentic stuff that...
Great thing to tell a Cub Scout, you know.
Yeah, there's a picture for your merit badge.
Yeah.
So you still have these photographs?
I have glass slides. I took them. I took them down one place to try to get them converted so I could get prints of them, because some of those prints, you know, if you made it, blow them up to a yard wide. First of all, the film they had in those days was very fine grained, and all the tooling on the saddle comes up, everything comes up. So, and they're so rare that I might sell a print for $800, but I can't find anybody that's willing to work with glass slides. They're too afraid they'll break them.
Really? Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I got a drawer full of those, and it's great stuff. I mean,
yeah.
But it's the movies, but I mean, you know, they pick and choose their close-ups where a lot of them are, you know. He took a lot of pictures of the horses, and one of them, he turned his back on it, and it grabbed him in its mouth and threw him back about 12 feet over it. So they weren't all ready to go first thing in the morning. They didn't like the idea of getting up at
Some of them just weren't going to do it.
Well, they thought they weren't going to.
They thought they weren't going to do it. You told me a kind of a cute story about what you did to the photographs when you were very, very young.
Oh, he shouldn't have let me near them when I was that young. Must have been 4, because I wouldn't do that, I don't think, at 4 and a half. Certainly not at 5. But, I overcolored, used red instead of red Hereford, it's not red.
Yeah.
I probably used vermilion,
And just colored Dad's photographs.
Everyone's, possibly 10 pictures.
Right. Have you still got those with the color on them?
Hmm?
Have you still got those with the color on them?
Black and white.
Oh, okay.
So I thought they should be colored.
Yeah. This would look much nicer with color on it.
Well, yeah.
So did you use those photographs when you were working on the Lone Ranger?
I used some of them, yes. There were shots in there that were directly from pictures from the album.
Can you think of any offhand, specific things that...
Oh, well, there was a white horse standing at it. They taught them, you don't have to really tie them onto the hitching rail. Of course you do, because something might come that would frighten it and it would pull away. But the horse was taught, if the reins are dropped on the ground under the head of it, he stands there,
Right.
They do that by taking a long rope and burying one end with a log, and then the thing can't go anywhere, and it learns that when that rope's lying on the ground, that's it.
That's it. Stay there.
Quite right.
Okay, so you had a shot of that, a photograph of that, and
I used quite a few different photographs, and wherever I could, trying to make it better.
right.
But there was limited amount of time, because I was going so nuts. I'd be up all night to with the FedEx is coming in the morning at 7 o'clock or something, and this cute girl, and I thought, I can't be standing here in my briefs and T-shirt. But she didn't give a damn. She'd come running in. She says, I don't want to have to ring the bell at the front of the house. I'm coming in the side door. Have it open for me.
Right.
I'm charging in and wrap the package on the bed while I'm standing there, hoping I don't get an erection or something. I never got the chance to hit on her.
Well,
I mean, you took a few breaths after she left, and then you thought I'd better start on next week.
yeah,
Because the newspaper comes out every day of the year.
without fail.
Holiday.
Somebody, I think it was Stan Drake, who described doing a newspaper strip as running ahead of a freight train.
I never heard that, but it sounds cool. It sounds about right.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes I got so desperate that I missed the delivery, and I knew where she was going next. Tearing down the street in my car to get to her next stop.
So that you could make sure that package goes out.
Right, because everybody, if they have to work, if the color separator, the printers or the engravers, if they have to work overtime, it's time and a half, and you're going to have a $1,500 bill that week.
Yeah.
So I couldn't handle that. And the syndicate, do that once or twice, you might get away with it, but they're not going to pick that up.
So I imagine with this background with your dad being an actual cowboy and having all of these photographs and having the level of interest that you did, that would make you pretty critical of the way the West is portrayed in comics or movies or...
Yeah, well, that and the fact that he himself said when we go to these things, and they'd show some Buck Jones in some flowered shirt, Western shirt, or something, and
right.
all the silver buckles on the bridles and the saddles, and he says, no working cowboy would do that,
Right.
Like anybody who's been a cowboy would know that was wrong. And so I didn't want, when I switched to doing war stuff, I didn't want soldiers to figure this guy was never near a battle. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So it was in the back of my mind to try to make it real.
Yeah, yeah. Did you?
I apparently succeeded because everybody always says your tanks look metal, your rivets and and your leather looks like leather and skin is skin. And today a lot of it with the airbrushing and everything looks like it's made out of this modeling clay or something.
Yeah, yeah. I thought the biggest compliment was Joe Kubert telling his students that you can only use photo reference except for Russ's stuff. You can use Russ's.
Right. In actuality, way back in the beginning, it was very hard to get any. They hadn't released any reference. In other words, all the German books and the British naval, British archival stuff, nothing had been released. It was all still classified for many years after the war. So a lot of it, and of course, to get the inside, let's say, of a Tiger tank, it's dark in a tank, so nobody ever takes pictures of the inside,
Right.
The professionals or something. But it was murder.
And like you say, the blueprints and stuff like that would have been classified well after 1945.
Yeah, I don't think that stuff opened up until well into the 50s.
Did your dad?
But the idea they could make a book and make some money printing it,
Yeah. Did your dad ever see the Western stuff that you did?
Well, he didn't see. He died in '67, and he saw some. When I was 17, I did a whole series of Western. Actually, what it is illustrated cartoons. They're not really cartoons in a funny sense. They're just funny-looking caricaturized cowboys and Indians and stuff like that.
Right.
Did a whole set of them just because I wanted to. And it's amazing, the 30 pictures after the first one, how much I knew about painting more by doing it than the first one. It's so amateurish. You can see it if I pointed it out to you.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty standard. It's there's a steep learning curve to just about anything, but you do it often enough.
What
And
has always held most people back in comics was that it was a poor man's wage, and a guy getting married and have a couple kids, and he had a lot of trouble making enough money to keep it going.
yeah,
So they had to turn out 4 pages a day, and that's I did myself, but good God. And it was, they used to pay $10, $15 a page for some of that stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's one of the reasons that we've got so many guys that hit that high peak level. Some of it was artistic dedication, but a lot of it was just, hey, the kids need shoes.
Right.
Got to pay the grocery bill, and that's also like running ahead of a freight train a lot of times.
Yeah, I remember once I went over, my wife was hollering she didn't have money for shoes for the kids. And of course I had 4 kids, and she had 3 more to another guy, all in line, like a rising ladder or something.
Right.
And I went over and to get them into the car to go for the shoe store. And I needed shoes myself, so I thought I might as well get them. And I saw the other kid's limping, and I said, "What's he limping about?" And she says, "Well, I can't afford shoes." Her new husband, or would-be husband, couldn't afford it. And I said, "Stick them in the car." So 8 of us walked into the shoe store and sat down in a row. And who wants what? And I said, everybody start at either end.
You got 8 people to get shoes on, and you're only open so many hours.
5, 6, 7, yeah, and me is 8.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see a little kid limping.
Yeah, yeah. That was like late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not counting, so
Okay, I'll do the counting for you.
that'll strain my brain. Arithmetic's not my. I tell everybody I was absent during arithmetic.
Yeah,